The season is nearing its end, and there are two teams still in contention for the league title. União Sao Paulo and Hollywood FC, both in action against opposition, fighting to keep their place in Division 1. Hello everyone, I am Metafiction, and as I say, União Sao Paulo taking on Shanghai, Hollywood taking on Gelayu Cosmico. Both of those teams not quite certain to be in the first division after the league split at the end of the season, but will be looking to try and solidify their positions in order to make that top six. Our other match today is CD Tenochtitlan versus Tokyo SC. Tenochtitlan already solidly in that top six for next season. Tokyo already certainly in the bottom six, but still a lot of pride on the line in that third match. But we go now to our first match in Brazil, where Sao Paulo will take on Shanghai. It's a 4-2-3-1 for Shanghai, or excuse me, a 4-3-1-2. Apologies, I cannot do numbers. There you see Hollywood with a 5-point gap on Sao Paulo as things stand. Hollywood cannot clinch the title today. They could make it very difficult if they win. Meanwhile, Sao Paulo needs to win in order to have a chance of staying in touch with that title race. If they were to win and Hollywood to lose, they would be within just 2 points, meaning it would almost certainly come down to the final match day. First corner goes to Sao Paulo. It's Cotswold to deliver near post. Headed off the bar and behind, and that'll be a goal kick to Shanghai. Now Hashimoto sends the corner in, and that one once again flicked over, this time by head. Free kick from deep. Kirkpatrick brings it forward, and now here's Cotswold. Cotswold loses the ball, but does get it back, but the touch from Aoi too heavy. Now Hashimoto takes a shot from range, and that's parried behind. Cotswold sends it near post. That's headed once again over, this time tipped over by the goalkeeper, so another corner incoming. And Sao Paulo looking to break the deadlock here. Mulder. Cotswold touches it, back in, and that's once again tipped behind by Takechi. Some heroic goalkeeping here. Hashimoto now taking another stab at it. This time sends it to the edge of the area, and that's intercepted by Hohenhan, who is making a break for it. Mulder able to catch up, though, to snuff out the immediate move, but Shanghai still with possession until that moment. The wayward pass intercepted by Kirkpatrick. Now Cotswold to De Groot. Inside, Rubio! Julian Rubio makes it 1-0. Well, it looked like Shanghai were on the break, but then Sao Paulo did a little bit of counterattacking of their own. Rubio taking that touch perfectly around De Soto, taking the defender out of the play, sending it opposite post. And what a finish that was to make it 1-0 for the team from Brazil. Now a through ball here, Mulder getting under the end of it. Could it be 2? Back to Hashimoto, shoots, pinged around in the box and ultimately dealt with. Scary moment for Shanghai. Going down 2-0 at this point would be very hard to come back from. Shimoto dueling with Del Vecchio, who does get the block in and takes a little bit of the velocity out of it. Now a potential counterattack. It's Hohenhan again, but Peixoto too fast and scoops it up. Peixoto with the cross, Del Vecchio heading it down, and now Shanghai come back again. Habjanic trying to split the defenders, but nothing doing. Good challenge from Nelson. And now Sao Paulo coming back. Here is De Groot. Some good passing, and Rubio has the second. Well, if Rubio's onside, that was a beautiful bit of passing. But the goal won't stand, and so it will come to nothing. There was some really good one-touch passing, and Rubio just barely offside. Still Sao Paulo coming forward. Now Hashimoto getting to the end line. Johnson sends it back, but the pass back intercepted by Mulder, who takes the shot and forces the corner. Near post, headed back out. And it falls back to Mulder, who sends it to Cotswold, and it's once again pushed over. And Sao Paulo really pushing for a second goal to try and solidify this lead. They're going to need to do as much as they can if they want to try and keep Hollywood from repeating. As that one goes over. Once again, it's a Sao Paulo chance as Cotswold stands over the free kick, delivers, and Takechi again shoving it over the bar. Some incredible saves by Takechi, it has to be said. Despite being 1-0 down, putting in an absolute shift in goal for Shanghai. Head, as Sao Paulo trying to reset under pressure. Now it's a corner at the other end. Billy Bob sending it to Habjanic, and the shot from Voda. And that's a corner for Shanghai now. Bob tries again. And De Groot dispossessing Habjanic. Now Shanghai with another corner, starting to find their form here as that shot clatters off a few defenders and falls into the hands of Aguilera, and that will be it for the first half. Sao Paulo with a 1-0 lead over Shanghai. A great goal by Julian Rubio, the difference here so far. Sao Paulo have dominated most of that first half, but Shanghai did seem to turn it on a little bit toward the second half of the first half. Try saying that 15 times fast. But nevertheless, Shanghai starting to find their flow in this match later on in the half. We'll have to see if that carries over into the second half. Meanwhile, Sao Paulo looking to try and assert their dominance and try and widen this margin a little bit. Play begins in the second half. Sao Paulo in the red and black going right to left as Bob knocks that away from Hashimoto. So a throw in here, deep in Shanghai territory. Mulder, back to Hashimoto. And that comes to nothing. Another corner kick for Sao Paulo. Hashimoto to deliver, once again near post, headed away. Falls back to Mulder, and another excellent save by Takechi. This could easily be 3 or 4-0 right now, if not for Takechi in goal for Shanghai. That ball headed away. Sao Paulo still with it. Here's Hashimoto. Shot was blocked. Back to Mulder and Del Vecchio with a good challenge. Lind to Johnson. Habjanic. And Gimathias losing out to Kirkpatrick. Now here comes Mulder for Sao Paulo. Back out to Cotswold. De Groot. Cuts it back. And Zach Mulder makes it 2. And this time there is no question of offside. It was going to take some brilliant work to get past Takechi a second time. But that's exactly what we've gotten. A one-touch pass from Cotswold. And Mulder just breaking free of the defense to receive the pass from De Groot. to double Sao Paulo's advantage here in the second half. But now Sattenmulter is forced off the field with an injury. A huge blow for Sao Paulo. And now Bob standing over the free kick here for Shanghai, trying to get one back. Confusion here on positioning from Voda, ultimately getting out of the way as Bob sending that top corner, but Aguilera punching it away. Bob out to Habjanic on the edge of the area and back to Bob. And offside was Bob. Bit of a confusing corner routine that ends up leaving Shanghai empty-handed. Now Cotswold, far post, headed away, and now Jimothias can come forward. Super sub, though, tracking back well. Shanghai have had moments of brilliance, but just haven't been able to get anything really solid to sink their teeth into as Hashimoto comes forward again, crosses far post, and that's headed just wide by de Groot. Cotswold with the free kick, that's right into the wall, falls for super sub though. Sao Paulo will try again. Hashimoto is trying to square it, and that's deflected behind. Took a deflection off of Del Vecchio's foot. And so another Sao Paulo corner here. Hashimoto into the crowd, headed back out. Cotswold gets to it. Cotswold, what a shot! But the question is, was Hashimoto offside? Shanghai players swarming the referee, and VAR will disallow it. What a shame, that was an incredible strike by Cotswold, but Hashimoto indeed well offside. So Sao Paulo will try again here. Hashimoto once again near post. Rubio back to Hashimoto. And takes the shot from a tight angle, and Hashimoto finishes it. And that's great placement by Hashimoto. The corner came to almost nothing. Rubio sending it back to Hashimoto. And what a finish that was from a very, very acute angle. And this time Hashimoto onside, unlike the last time Sao Paulo thought they'd scored. And so Sao Paulo seem to have this well in hand with 15 to play. 3-0 the advantage at the moment as Hashimoto brings it forward to super sub. Hashimoto puts in the cross, headed down by Nerve de Groot. And that's 4 for Sao Paulo. Well, that's another well-worked goal by Sao Paulo. A beautiful cross. De Groot just rising over Johnson there in defense. And you could argue 4-0 might be a little harsh on Shanghai, but nevertheless, a great performance so far from Sao Paulo. Seem to have the 3 points all but locked up at the moment. Now Hashimoto with another corner. This one rebuffed. Kirkpatrick has a go from a similar angle to Hashimoto, but this time it is pushed away. Cotswold sending the ball in, but ultimately sent away. The goalkeeper Takechi, who had done so well conceding 4, but there's the shot from Habjanic, who gets tipped over by Aguilera. Bob sending in the corner. Ultimately sent back. Habjanic goes over. At this point, Sao Paulo seemingly content to just see this one out with a dominant 4-0 victory. Johnson. Voda loses out to DeGroot, and it's sent all the way back to head. Hashimoto brings it forward, switches the play to Cotswold brilliantly. Through to DeGroot, in behind, cuts it back, Rubio, and another good save by Takechi. Again, has been doing so well despite conceding 4. Some really good saves. So we are halfway through 3 minutes of added time here. Shanghai looking to try and get one back in the closing moments, but seems unlikely as Sao Paulo bring it forward again via Cotswold, who puts the cross in, looking for the super sub, who heads it over the bar. It was a brilliant cross, but the finish just not where it needed to be. And that will do it here in Sao Paulo, as União Sao Paulo with a dominant 4-0 victory. 4 different goal scorers on the day: Rubio, Mulder, Hashimoto, and DeGroot. Shanghai putting up a valiant effort, especially Shingo Takechi in goal, but ultimately unable to stem the tide. Sao Paulo looking like title contenders, as they currently are just 2 points behind Hollywood, pending Hollywood's result in a moment. Still doing their part for this title race are Sao Paulo. And again, Shanghai buoyed by their goalkeeping performance, but not enough, as Sao Paulo win 4-0 at home. Next up, we travel to Southern California, where Hollywood FC take on Jalayu Cosmico. Hollywood, currently leading in the table, will need a win to maintain their 5-point gap back to Sao Paulo. Meanwhile, Jalayu Cosmico, one of those teams fighting to be in that top 6 come the end of the season. Remember, at the end of the season, we are splitting the division into a first division and a second division. The top 6 in the first division, the bottom 6 in the second. It's Hollywood coming out with their unorthodox 4-2-4. Jalahu with the 4-3-3, also a little bit off-center. Both these teams in good form. Should be an absolutely cracking match, as there you see Jalahu 5 points back from Celtic. They need a win here to have any chance of being in that top division next season. It will be a tough ask, though, as they visit the league leaders. We are underway here at the pitch. Jalahu kicking us off in the teal, going right to left. Hollywood will have seen that Sao Paulo performance and will know what needs to be done in order to maintain their league lead. And they do have a corner here to be delivered by Gerd Klose. Sends it near post, and that clatters off the bar, courtesy of Ali Dia. And that will be behind for a goal kick. Another corner by Klose. Near post this time, and that's headed to the far post, and Calderon this time missing the mark. Mograine now with the throw-in. Klose. Kupinis losing out as the long ball ultimately finds its way to Mograine. Walker trying to head it on, but had nobody there. Hefeweizen. Now Skavgard. Cormier. Kunicki in pursuit, but can't keep up. Mograine from the edge of the area, and that's wide. Revest will take the goal kick. At like 2%, left it for Emerson, who brings it forward now, potentially threatening attack here at the end line, but it's ultimately dealt with by the Hollywood defense, and now here comes the break. Kupinis trying to get around Blackman, but can't. Cormier takes the shot, and that's deflected. I believe Iminaktok responsible for that. Now Closa sending it in. Looked like Blackman was in the mix for that one, but couldn't quite get there, and at like 2% scoops it up. Switching play to Kunicki. Calderon intercepting that pass through. Could have been a dangerous moment for Jalahu. Now here comes Closa. Tathiel trying to keep up. Left for Mograine. Now Skovgard, and that's deflected behind. Hollywood have had the better of the match so far, but have yet to break the tie. As that ball headed away by at like 2%. Well, you see there in the average positions down near the bottom of your screen, Hollywood have been on the front foot for pretty much the entire match, but haven't quite yet been able to find a way through. Some very good defending from Jalahu, who you have to imagine, if they could get to halftime scoreless, would be significantly boosted by that. As Iminaktok takes the shot and forces the save out of Duncan Walrison. And it will be a corner for Cosmico. At like 2%, sends it in near post. That's headed up into the air and harmlessly out of danger. And Jia Yun will be forced off with injury, and that is a huge blow to Cosmico. Their striker forced off, and it will be a goal kick to Hollywood. Skovgard. Hunt. Mograine heads it forward. Closa all alone. Tathiel able to disrupt it, but it's a penalty. Tathiel ruled to have brought down Closa illegally. Referee going over to the screen. This would be huge right before the break. Cosmico had been hoping to hold on until halftime. The referee does not give the penalty. And Cosmico breathing a sigh of relief as we enter halftime scoreless here in Hollywood. Hollywood FC had the better of the match, but just couldn't create any chances that found the back of the net. Meanwhile, Cosmico, defending resolutely, have managed to get it in scoreless at the break. And that will be a huge boost for their morale. It has to be imagined. And there you see again the average positions. Hollywood really trying to take it to Jalahu, but nothing doing so far. It is 0-0 at the break here in SoCal. So we begin the second half. Hollywood needing a win to try and keep their advantage over Sao Paulo, as it stands only 2 points ahead going into this match. Cormier sends the cross in, and that's headed over by Closa. Another corner for Hollywood, this time Hunt to take. Near post, and this time it's headed in by Hercule Hefeweizen. And that is something that Hollywood desperately needed. A goal to break the deadlock here in the second half. Jalahu had defended heroically to this point, but ultimately do concede at the near post. And it is Hollywood 1, Jalahu Cosmico 0. Now here comes the super sub with a corner kick, trying to equalize Jalahu, but headed clear. Terrell tried to track it down, but ultimately that attack will come to nothing. Long ball over the top, doesn't quite find a player, but that pass from Okoro, wayward, and Martel can't take advantage. Well, that could have been a huge moment in this match, but Pete Martel just failing to capitalize on a defensive error. Now here's Dia, and that one is blocked over by Remy Terrell. Hunt sending it to the near post, and that's flicked over. Cormier puts the cross in, looking for Kupinis, who can't get the header on target. Hollywood really pushing for another goal. They smell the blood in the water, as here comes Cormier. Back to Skovgaard, who dribbles through into the box and once again sending it over. Hollywood getting in really good positions, just cannot find the finish at the moment. Martel dispossesses Emerson, and now here they come again. Here's Kupinis. Cuts it back, and that's easy for Gerd Klose. Well, that was a brilliant move by Hollywood to draw Jalahu out of their defensive shape. Here it is, Martel passing to Kupinis. Revest all the way at the end of the goal. Can't react in time to Klose, streaking in at the opposite post. And it's an open goal for Klose as Hollywood extend their lead to 2-0. Terrell trying to get one back for Cosmico. Forced to the corner flag. Tries to pass back to Walker, but Dia with a good interception. Now forward to Klose. Back inside, here's Kupinis, now finds Dia. Dia all alone, behind the defense, chips it over the goalkeeper. Cheeky as you like, 3-0 to Hollywood. Well, it was a great performance there on that play from Dia. Able to get behind the defense. Revest coming out, and Dia just lifting it over Revest. No trouble at all, and it is 3-0 Hollywood asserting their authority. And now Martel taking it off of Tethiel. Back to Klose. Trying to get to the end line, but Revest sending it long. Getting it out of danger. Terrell trying to head to a teammate, but it's back to McGrain. Hollywood still pressing for another one. Cross goes in. Headed away by Okoro, but Emerson can't get to it. Konecki gets a foot in, but it's back to Cormier. Hollywood going to try again. Skovgaard to Dia. Skovgaard again. Through ball. Finds McGrain in a lot of space. And Revest with a good save. And some of that verve that wasn't there in the first half, finally in the possession of Hollywood now. That one headed away by Blackman. Hunt. And it's tipped over again by Revest. Cosmico under heavy fire here as Hollywood with another corner. Hunt. And this time it's headed over. And a bit of relief. Well, I had thought that going into halftime scoreless might be a huge boost to Cosmico, but it seems that was never the case as Hollywood finding their shooting boots. Skovgaard through ball to Kupinis, who sends it wide. So time ticks down. Hollywood with a 3-0 lead, seemingly unassailable at this point in the match, but stranger things have happened. Nevertheless, time passing quickly, less than 5 to play, plus added time. Cosmico trying to get something from this match, even if it's just one goal. We'll have 2 minutes of added time here as they come forward. Here is Emerson. Takes the shot, and that's well over. Closa. Forced out wide, back to McGray. Seconds to play now. Here's Closa again. And Closa brought down in the box, and this time the referee is going to give the penalty. This time, will VAR uphold it? And they will. Well, this may not affect the scoreline too much, at least in terms of the result, but Pete Martell buries it past Revest. And 4-0, matching Sao Paulo's performance in the previous match. Perhaps a message to Sao Paulo: anything you can do, we can do just as well. Who have kicked off, but it's really only a matter of time, and there it is, the final whistle. Hollywood with a matching 4-0 win to keep pace, or rather remain out of touch of Sao Paulo. And again, 4 goal scorers: Hefeweizen, Closa, Dia, and Martell for Hollywood. Cosmico had a brilliant fight to keep it scoreless in the first half, but ultimately came undone in the second frame. Kupinis, your player of the match for Hollywood. And you have to wonder how much that injury to Jia Yun affected this one. Could Cosmico have gotten something out of this if their striker had been on the pitch the entire 90 minutes? We may never know. But nevertheless, a strong performance by Hollywood, 4-0. And the title race remains in their hands as things stand. And now we come to the final match of Matchday 20, where CD Tenochtitlan takes on Tokyo SC. Both teams already locked into their respective homes for next season. Tenochtitlan certainly in the first division for season 24. Meanwhile, Tokyo, bottom of the table by some distance, cannot rise out of the bottom 6, will be in Division 2. And it has to be said, Tokyo, perhaps better than their performances have warranted, but nevertheless find themselves way off the pace at the bottom of the table. Tenochtitlan kick us off in the yellow and red, going left to right. And Greer with a sliding challenge for Tokyo in the pink and black. And this is a Tokyo team that is sick and tired of all the losing, all the drop points. You have to think they'll be coming out with some sort of fire today, but meanwhile, Tenochtitlan certainly good enough to be in the title race, but haven't been able to stay in touch with the 2 leading contenders. You have to think they have a point to prove. As here's Greer for Tokyo, worked through to Lee, and that's off the post. And Lee was offside, but nevertheless, a very close run thing there. Free kick here for Volta, who lifts it into the box, and the header just wrong by Patterson and was offside anyway. Gaetano, taking it past Eilish, and the shot goes wide. It was deflected behind for a corner kick as Volta stands over it, near post. And that finds its way in, courtesy of Cesar Pinkman. We'll have to take a look at that again. There was a bit of a scramble in the box here. And indeed, Pinkman rising over the defense to put that one away. English sending it back. Now Gunnarsson out to Adamu. Greer takes the touch, trying to hold on to it, but couldn't quite, and Ball sending it long. Tokyo come forward again, though, or at least trying to, before sending it all the way back to Kanders. Lee, through ball to face. Ball falls to Greer, and what a strike by Greer to level it at 1. Here we go again. Lee forward to face. The challenge there from Elliott, but it falls right into the path of Greer, who absolutely buries it. Now we are level, and here come Tokyo again. Lee. De Silva able to head it away, but Adamu gets to it first. That pass back. Tut tries the slide tackle, but Ekholm Gunnarsson with possession. Now Ron Flex sending it all the way back. Eilish. Out to Super Hoops. Now Ron Flex. Slack Terrace in midfield, finds Greer again. Greer with another good shot, and that forces a corner. Greer will take this corner. And that's headed up into the air. Ron Flex can't get to it. And that will come to naught. Now here's De Silva. And Lee intercepting the pass intended for Elliott. And now Tokyo on the counterattack. Here's Super Hoops. And Super Hoops loses out, and it's given as a penalty. Referee going over to look at it. A little bit of tension in the air here in Mexico City. But the referee will not give the penalty. VAR disallowed the penalty, or overturned it, whatever the verb is. That could have been a huge moment for Tokyo, but nevertheless, still 1-1 as they have the ball in the attacking half. Slack Terrace, and that shot deflected behind. Now Greer tries to find Slack Terrace on the outside of the box, but nothing doing on that corner. Now it's a corner kick for Tenochtitlan. Elliott sends it in, and that's headed in again by Cesar Pinkman. And once again, Tenochtitlan taking the lead. And it's just brilliant corner work by Pinkman to get the ball in the net. And now Tenochtitlan back ahead, 2-1. Now Tut bringing it forward with a good run through the midfield. De Silva, Adamu closing down. Now here's Roger. Roger cuts it inside, and it's Hannibal Armaros at the far post. And just like that, it's a 2-goal lead for Tenochtitlan. Well, Roger completely unmarked, able to make that run, and Armaro similarly getting away from Super Hoops to bury that chance. And at the break, Tenochtitlan lead 3-1. Pinkman with 2 goals so far, Armaros with the third. Meanwhile, Jude Greer, the only goal on the board for Tokyo so far. It started so well for Tokyo, having some really good chances, but Tenochtitlan have started to pull away here. We'll have to see if that continues in the second half. And so the second half begins. Tokyo going left to right will kick us off. Eilish. Lee finding Ronflex. Long ball over the top to try and switch play, and Adamu couldn't quite get to it, but will win the throw. Not much to report here in the second half so far. Tenochtitlan still holding on to that 2-goal lead. Lee trying to challenge the ball off of Tuck, but nothing doing. Tenochtitlan passing it amongst their defense. Roger sends it back. Caetano. Now Bruer Estrangin. De Silva. Sliding challenge from Adamu, but De Silva still with it. Puts the cross in. And that falls to Armaros for their second. We'll have to look at this again. De Silva doing well to maintain possession here. Cross goes in. Canders probably should have jumped for it, but didn't, and it falls to Armaros. And all of a sudden, this is looking more and more like a rout. Elliott sending it near post, headed up into the air. Pinkman sends it out to Volta, deflection, and face clears it. Tokyo needing something from this attack. Greer in the box, back to Ronflex, takes a shot from the edge of the area, looked like it took a deflection, but no face, offside. "20 minutes to play in Tenochtitlan with a 3-goal lead. Roger takes the touch past the defense and hits the side netting, but it was wide open for them. Now Ekholm Gunnarsson brings the ball out to the sideline. Sending it all the way back to Canders. Now Eilish will take an attempt. Lee back to Eilish. Some patient build-up here from Tokyo. Finding super hoops. Can't quite get around Armaros. Puts the cross in, and that's a little over everyone. Adamu takes a shot and forces the save out of ball. So a Tokyo corner here to try and get another goal. Try and level this deficit a little bit. As the corner comes in, headed up into the air, and Tut sends it out of danger. Adamu with another throw for Tokyo. But Patterson dispossessing. Ball sends the ball long. Chambers able to head it back to a teammate. Ronflex finding super hoops up the near wing. But Tut taken away from Ronflex there. Now here's Roger. De Silva. Tenochtitlan coming forward in numbers once again. Here's Volta. Puts the pass in, and Dom Patterson taking advantage of the deflection to make it 5-1. Well, it's more of the same from Tokyo, I'm afraid, as here is that move again. Volta, Ekholm Gunnarsson leapt up to try and block it, but didn't get all of it. And Patterson in exactly the right place to put that away. 5-1 the score now. And despite a bright start, Tokyo have once again faded very quickly. Patterson sending it into Armaros on a hat trick. Caetano. Patterson gets around Ron Flex well. End line, Patterson crosses, and Andre Caetano makes it 6. Tenochtitlan passing around like the Tokyo defense isn't even there. Patterson doing well to get around Ron Flex. And what a strike that was from just inside the area. And it is 6-1. Tenochtitlan absolutely rampant right now. Greer takes a touch in the area, tries to get it past ball, but can't find a second. And you could argue 6-1 at the moment, maybe a little harsh on Tokyo, but Tenochtitlan have been very good today. As here comes Tut. Roger trying to find Patterson on the through ball. Now Roger on the through ball. Splits the defense, but Kander's able to make the save. Could so easily have been 7 there. Elliott with the corner kick. Header battling Kanders does leap up to claim it. 2 minutes of added time. Not that it really matters at this stage. Out to De Silva. Dispossessed by Ekholm Gunnarsson. Ron Flex now with it. Now Adamu. Forward to Greer, who sends it back. Slack Terrace. To Adamu. Adamu trying to find someone in the middle, but nothing doing, and that is that. Tenochtitlan with a dominant 6-1 victory over Tokyo SC. Braces from Pinkman and Armaros, and Patterson and Caetano also getting their names on the score sheet. As for Tokyo, Greer's goal, the only consolation. Dom Patterson is your player of the match. Managed an assist, if not a goal. A goal and an assist. Apologies, I was looking at the wrong column there. Meanwhile, Tokyo once again just not being able to keep up. And that is going to do it for Matchday 20. Just 2 match days left until the end of the season. Before we go, we'll have to take a look at how the standings shake out after these matches. Of course, we saw Sao Paulo and Hollywood both getting 4-0 victories over Shanghai and Zhilahu, respectively. And then, of course, we saw Tenochtitlan with that 6-1 victory. Hollywood still 5 points ahead of Sao Paulo in the title race. Meanwhile, you look over at the bubble there for the top 6. Celtic currently in 6th place, getting hot at the right time, but only 3 points back are Buenos Aires, and 5 points back are Cosmico. Well, it's going to be a very fascinating fight for that final top 6 allocation for Division 1. We hope you'll join us for the last 2 match days in this season. Until then, this has been Metafiction. Until next time, take care.